Welcome back, fisheries scientists, but we're about to become fisheries biologists today. Leanne and Crystal are nerds. Looking at it today, we're going to go ahead and start Chapter 6. Lynn and Sabrine also. And in Chapter 6, our focus is on the fundamentals, with emphasis on fun, maybe. Fundamentals of biology. Now, a few of you guys have had a chance to look at the lab worksheet. I want you to know, I listened to your advice, Caden and Huggins, but Huggins isn't here. We'll see if it gets here on time. I've ordered some squid to dissect. We'll see if they get here. We're hopefully going to be able to dissect some squid. Can't promise it because it all depends on shipping. But fundamentals of biology. All right. So in 6.1, and I just can't remember the actual name of it, ingredients of life. Cool. Okay, we're going to go 15 minutes right now, then we'll go over to the hatchery, and then we'll come back. So 6.1, the ingredients of life. Okay. Earlier this year, and I never remember if it was on a Friday or not, we talked, there was a fun day where there was a new asteroid that data had come back from traveling out in space that a space probe had landed on, and it found stuff. Do you guys remember us talking about that at all? Do you remember what they found? Not quite. That'd be much bigger news. So definitely found carbon, but there's more to it than that. But carbon mixed with hydrogen and oxygen, realistically. They found 14 different amino acids, which is awesome. Who can tell me what an amino acid is?
It's like, isn't it something to do with protein?
It is something to do with proteins.
It's like a smaller part of protein.
Absolutely, it's the smaller part of a protein. You're killing it today. So for this, just looking at stuff right off the bat, when we study biology, pretty good chance, Harvey, you had mentioned it, carbon. If you are studying anything biology with what we've seen with life, carbon shows up everywhere. Now, anybody here taking a chemistry course? Okay, so with this, I'm just going to spoil some stuff. Hopefully, if you guys take chemistry next year, this doesn't ruin it. Carbon is super special. If you were to look at a periodic table, you're going to find it falls into group 14. And there's a whole lot of different things that encompasses. You guys all took physical science, right? Yeah. Did you guys talk about atoms in physical science? I don't know how far in the book you guys got. So every atom is made of three things, at least three. You have protons and neutrons in the middle, and then what's on the outside? Electrons. Now, electrons fit into certain energy levels is what we call them. You might refer to them as orbitals, depending on if you've taken chemistry and seen it. But the more energetic an electron is, the further away it is from the nucleus. Okay, beyond that, you do not have to draw this, so if it's in brown, don't write it down. But if we have an atom here, where here's a nucleus, and we have this first electron ring, where here's our first s orbital is what that would be called. Okay, these are the two lowest level electrons. All that it fits is 2. Now, it's possible that there's more electrons out here. It depends on the element. There could be a lot. These are what we refer to as our valence electrons. Now, carbon is really special because there's 2 types of bonds that happen in chemistry. You can share your valent electrons, or valence electrons, where both new elements get an electron for, like, they just borrow it to each other. That is called a covalent bond. In contrast with that, we have these things called ionic bonds, where if I am neutral right now and I lose a negative charge, I'm now positively charged. And whoever gained my other one is negatively charged, and we're attracted because opposite charges attract. Okay, we are not in a chemistry class. I just want to make sure we hit it. Carbon is special because carbon does have 4 valence electrons. You do not need to draw this. But notice, that means if we have a carbon atom, how many different atoms can stick onto this from 4 valence electrons? 4, right? We could have a hydrogen and a hydrogen and a hydrogen and a hydrogen, and now we get CH4, which is methane. Okay, these carbon atoms are awesome, and they do this. If there's life on other planets, could be carbon. Like, based on the chemistry that we've seen, the fact that carbon has 4 places to grab onto, that's an important idea. Right below carbon on the periodic table is silicon. So if you ever go through science TikTok stuff and they're talking about silicon-based life forms, it's because silicon behaves chemically similar to carbon. Very different in what it actually does, but it's these 4 handles that kind of serve the main purpose. So when we talk about the ingredients of life, we're going to start by talking about the building blocks. So looking at these, anything that we do with regard to biology is going to focus on one of four big types of compounds or molecules, polymers, we might call them, the building blocks of life. Now, if you go to the grocery store, if you buy bananas that have never seen pesticides and anything like that, they're going to advertise it as what? Organic. If you study chemistry that is focused entirely around carbon's special properties, you are living in a field of chemistry to which entire university departments and buildings have been made. Organic chemistry is a study of carbon, essentially, because organic means life for our purposes. Now, as we get through here, we'll just make sure that we have that. Organic chem. That, we're not going crazy. You could call this O-chem if you would rather. But when we see organic, we just mean based in life, like things that we truly see. More specifically, or maybe more broadly, we are expecting four elements. Now, you guys have all seen a little bit of chemistry stuff. How much of the periodic table do you know? What's gold? AU. Okay, I'm going to write these. I will write the names if we need them. Organic chemistry. Certainly it has this, which is what? Carbon. Okay, other really common ones. H. There might be a 2O as well, but H is all I care about right now. What's this? Hydrogen. This one shows up pretty often. Oxygen. These are the big three. Now, we're going to get some other flavors of elements that show up as well. We get some phosphates or phosphorus elements or atoms that will show up. We get a lot of nitrogen depending on where we're looking at. These are the big three, C, H, and O. Okay, now from here, every living organism that you've ever encountered, and even some things that aren't really quite living because life is a lot harder to define than you might really think when you first look at it, is going to have these ingredients. Okay, going through, we're just going to, I'm not true biology, so I'm assuming you guys have seen this. If you haven't, this is a crash course. Okay, all this organic stuff is made from four, or one of four, or combinations. We can call these two things macromolecules, which when you see the word macro, what does that mean? So we use micro, to see something really small. It's weird, but if you wanted to use a tool to look at something really big instead, macroscope, which a telescope would be an example of that. Okay, for macromolecules, which you may hear me or you see elsewhere, these are going to be referred to as polymers. Okay, four big ones. Donut for you here. Cool. All right, now of these, we're going to go into each of them. But four macromolecules, polymers that we care about in the field of biology. Somebody already mentioned one, and it was Caden. Proteins. There's one of them. There's another. Hit it. Carbs. Carbs is short for what? Carbohydrate. Okay? There's two. There's two more. Something with an L. Lipids. And there's one more. It is indeed. And that's right, it's nucleic acids. That's our fourth big one. Okay, now for each of these, they are macromolecules. They're bigger pieces of stuff that are put together. Now, language-wise, polymer is a much nicer word. Poly means what? Many, multiple. Okay, each one of these macromolecules is made out of a smaller specific piece that we can call a monomer. Instead of a polymer, monomer. One individual little unit. So, without any particular order, we're just going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to be able to get through one of them right now. Where are we starting? Proteins. I will tell you, arguably, I think that these are by far the most important. They're all important, but proteins are the most important of these macromolecules. So here we go. Let's talk about, and we're going to make this a tilde, proteins. Okay, so for proteins, they're legitimately, arguably the best. Because everything in our body, every cell that lives in your body, it has to be able to execute the DNA and the instructions, right? And the way that a lot of those ideas, quote unquote ideas, I'm going to personify like everything. These things don't think, they don't feel, but I'm going to talk about them like they do because it's easy to connect with. Okay, all of our proteins are what are telling us, here's how you make sense of this DNA, here's where you take this wherever it might go. Proteins are crazy folded things that have really particular shapes that if they don't fit, the cell kills itself, or it doesn't and things go wrong and you get things like cancer or other like genetic diseases. Okay, for proteins, right off the bat, I think that these are the most important. So we're going to discuss the monomers. So what are proteins actually made of? So the monomer, this is it. It's not our ACTG, although those are proteins that you'll find in nucleic acids if you think of back to genetic stuff. But when we look at a monomer, it's just what are these made of? So very specifically, I'm going to call it monomers. Every protein that we find in our body, every protein is made, whoa, don't know what happened, made, why is this going weird, of 20 amino acids. And I'm going to underline that one. Okay, 20 amino acids. Now, with this, it turns out, just purely coincidentally, every protein in your body is 20 amino acids stuck together to form this bigger protein. And they legitimately form in these crazy, like almost knot-looking things. There's a whole field of math called knot theory that was absolute nonsense and math for the sake of math up until this was discovered. And now they're using ideas from math called knot theory to work out new drugs that include protein production. Okay, every protein is made of 20 amino acids, and 20 amino acids exist. Now, with that, I can't remember the name of the meteor that they sampled, but they found 14 of them somewhere that wasn't Earth. And these are fundamental to developing life. Now,
What if we gave them like six more?
maybe you would get some viruses and stuff that wind up shaking out, which viruses aren't truly alive yet, but you're getting closer. Okay, for this, I'm not going to make us do the numbers, but let's check it out. Let's say you're going to make a protein, and you have endless supply of 20 different amino acids in front of you. How many options do you have for the first choice? Like, I'm going to start my protein, and here's my 20. I can choose one of different 20 of them, right? I have 20 choices for that first acid, yeah? Okay, I picked it. Here it is. I'm still looking. I have infinite amounts. How many choices do I have for the second one? So I have infinite amounts, though. It could be protein 1 and protein 1. I could use or amino acid 1 and amino acid 1. I can put two of the same. I still have 20 choices, right? So now we're at 400 different amino acids that could exist. How about for the third choice? Hey, we're at 8,000. How about for the fourth? Like over and over, right? This is 20 to the 20. This is an insanely large number. Now, there are lots of them that exist, and they all are made of this. So, as we go through here, they're made of these amino acids. Awesome. Furthermore, as we look at these, they are, they're not the genetic instructions themselves, but they are the actual genes, the traits, and stuff that are expressed through protein in our body. It all comes from these. So, couple other little pieces. We're just going to say that these things with enzymes, which you guys may or may not have seen the word enzyme before. Anybody seen the word enzyme? Okay, so everybody's probably seen it. Anybody know what an enzyme is? So, if I have a chemical reaction happening, for example, I have a fire burning, which a fire is a chemical reaction. It's the wood reacting with oxygen, it produces heat. If I want that fire to react faster, what do? You add more fuel, possibly. What? You add more air. If I were to have like coals here and they're just barely burning and I blow a lung full of air into it, does it burn faster, hotter? Yeah, we're speeding up that reaction, right? Or if I remove some air, but not all of it, it'll burn slower. We are changing the reaction speed that's happening. That's an enzyme. Now, specifically, they bind with proteins to speed up or slow down reactions in our body, normally to speed up because we need stuff to happen fairly quick within our cell. With enzymes, we're just going to say reactions, which RxN, reactions are sped up with proteins, enzymes and proteins. Now, for these, if I said, when does digestion start? Like everybody in here has eaten. Most of you just ate a donut. You're already digesting it, right? Because it's in your gut. Like that process is starting. Did the process of digestion start before you swallowed it? Anybody's mouth like dry as a desert right now? So you might say it's kind of dry, but is there moisture in your mouth even if your mouth feels dry? Yeah. And that's spit or saliva, yeah? Now, if I put a piece of bread in my mouth and don't chew it and I put one in a water, do you think they're going to dissolve at the same speed? Which one will dissolve faster? You think it'll be in the water? What if my mouth had, okay, so this is going to be gross. What if I had a whole mouthful of spit? So it's like not a quantity thing. Like the super weird idea, right? Enjoy your donut. Okay, as we're looking at it, I don't think it's going to be water. I think that it's actually going to start breaking down because we have enzymes in our saliva that start that digestion process right off the bat. Now, if you've ever eaten a pineapple, and I really like pineapple, anybody eaten so much pineapple your tongue starts to hurt? Okay, it happens. You are getting enzymes from that pineapple on your tongue and it's starting to dissolve your tongue. It's a defense mechanism of that pineapple. Luckily, our tongues can survive it. If you happen, this is not related to this, if you get a fresh pineapple, get some provolone, eat them together. Bomb. Like for provolone cheese. It's so good and it sounds weird. Try it. You'll thank me. Okay, so these things, speed these up. Other uses of proteins. Proteins, oftentimes, not always, but proteins can be hormones. What do hormones do in your body? Change stuff. So obviously a huge increase in hormones as people go through puberty or older in life, women go through menopause. That is triggered by hormones or proteins that are released into your blood. Beyond that, turns out pretty much anything that you use to make you happy or sad, all those natural things that happen within your body and your brain chemistry, these are all protein dependent. Okay, so beyond that, last little piece, we can use them as hormones. We can use them to speed up or slow down reactions. We can use them to transfer this genetic information in genes and so forth to build DNA up and all that good stuff. Last little piece, proteins from time to time can serve as structure. Okay, for this, you guys, if you focus on your macros, right, and you're tracking your protein, what might somebody be doing that they like push up their protein intake? Why would somebody want to focus more on protein than carbs? What are they trying to do? They're trying to bulk up, right? Because if you want to bulk up, you need muscles, and muscles, like their structural tissue is what they really are, but they're made of proteins. Okay, cool. This is like the fastest move through proteins ever. Feel okay with it? All right, just because I think it's easy to overlook, we're going to take a short break. We're going to run over to the hatchery real quick.